Hey, what's going on, folks? It's Larry at Packmaster Dog Training. Happy Friday to everyone. Let's talk about teaching behaviors versus stopping unwanted behaviors, all right? We talked about this recently. It wasn't that long ago I did a video, and that's the thing that I don't like about videos is they get lost and mixed in with all the others real quick, and then people forget about it or they don't see it. That's why I'm writing the Ecollar stuff, because it'll be a lot easier to follow. But let's talk about that. I saw some conversation on my page. There was a little confusion. Even people that follow me quite a bit, some of you are under the impression that I never use the e-collar to correct bad behaviors. Not true. Not even close to being true. So let's go over a little bit of what I do. This is just what I do. Anyone else can do what they want, all right? So when I'm teaching behaviors, no matter what it is, all your basic commands, tricks, positions, it doesn't matter. When I teach something, I teach everything through positive reinforcement, through motivation, everything, okay? I teach nothing with tools. I teach nothing with e-collars, with any kind of pressure, with prong collars. I teach everything through motivation, positive reinforcement, usually food, okay? That's how I teach everything. Now, to stop behaviors, and back to teaching. Teaching takes a lot of repetitions. That's all it is. That's all it is. You show the dog what you want, all right? You have to show him what you want. And then you teach the dog what you want. You motivate the dog what you want to do what you want, and then you can make the dog do what you want. Very, very simple. And they learn through repetitions. I do all my sessions, whether it's with my own dogs or a client's dogs, I keep them very, very short. I'm talking 5 to 10 minutes tops. And I do as many as I can throughout the day if I'm trying to teach a new behavior, okay? But it's done with food, it's done with luring, it's done with positive reinforcement and through motivation. Now, to stop an unwanted behavior, very simple. You stop it quickly. You stop it one time. It takes one time to stop most bad behaviors. That's it. That is it. You have to stop bad behaviors very quickly. It's that simple. Now, when I'm talking about bad behaviors, I mean all the usual behaviors that people complain about. You know, jumping on people, barking, digging, counter surfing, all these little things, unruly behavior, actual behaviors that can be stopped immediately. And it's very, very easy. Where people make the mistake, guys, they start, and we're not even talking about any specific tool or method here, all right? We won't even go into that right now. But where people make the mistake is they start with the corrections low. And when it doesn't work, they go a little higher. And when that doesn't work, they go a little higher, and they keep escalating. What happens is the dog adapts to that very, very quickly. Very quickly. You're wasting your time. You're just being a pain in the ass nag, okay? To stop a behavior, you start high. You stop it immediately. And then you will be able to go down very, very quickly. Now, when I talk about correcting behaviors or stopping behaviors, I'm talking about things, you know, like jumping on people or barking, everyday behaviors that people deal with. You know, there's a difference between a bad behavior, like jumping on people, and a mindset behavior, okay? We'll call it a mindset behavior. What I'm talking about is, you know, if you have a dog that has a lot of anxiety or fear or aggression, those are things, no, you're not going to stop with a harsh correction right away. It's much more complex than that, okay? Much more complex than that. That's part of an overall training program and takes a little bit of time. If you can take a dog with any of the mindset issues and just give it a one good hard correction and be gone, we wouldn't need dog trainers, all right? Now, there are times in aggression cases where that does kind of fall into just a bad behavior, and a lot of times it's just because the people have allowed it to get to that point. I'll give you an example. I did a video several years ago with Bruno, and it's a German Shepherd mix, and it wasn't a lesson. I showed up just to give the people a free demonstration, and they had a German Shepherd mix. It was very dog aggressive, and it had killed a couple smaller dogs. So when you watch the video, if I was to see that video of another trainer doing it, I would say that's not an aggressive dog. You know, it's really not, because it was turned around in literally in minutes. So what I did was, and the video is out there, it's old, But I showed up. I used Bruno, my Rottweiler. I put a dominant dog collar on the dog, and I basically just took control of the dog and didn't allow the dog to act like a jerk. It was that simple. I stopped the behavior. I stopped the movement and activity of the dog, and that was it. The dog never had an issue again. After that, we started the training program, and the aggression wasn't an issue. The aggression was there simply because the owners allowed it to be. No one ever did anything. Now, what happened with that same dog is it did go away to do a board and train with another trainer. And what happened was, what they did, what a lot of trainers do, is they put an e-collar on the dog, and when the dog showed any aggression, they lit the dog up with the e-collar. That was it. So they didn't teach the dog the e-collar. There was no training with the e-collar. They just put an e-collar on and whacked the dog, okay? Guess what? The dog came back worse, because that never works. I don't care what anyone says. If they tell you that works, they're bullshitting you, because I deal with it constantly. Constantly, I get those dogs here that have been through the same thing, all right? But it was just a matter of taking control of the dog and stopping the dog from being a jerk. That's simple, okay? Now, let's get back to e-collar corrections, because that was what everyone was wondering about. Most people know how I use the e-collar. I'm very vocal about it. I'm very vocal about the proper use, okay? That's why I'm writing what I'm writing right now. I'll never shut up about it, and I will keep promoting the tool and fighting for the proper use of it, because I want to keep it. So when I have a dog here, say it could be here for a 3-week board and train, I normally don't use any corrections through that time. I spend that whole time teaching the dog the meaning of the e-collar. Okay, the beautiful thing about the e-collar, guys, is once the dog fully understands it and is trained properly, you can stop unwanted behaviors very quickly and without being very harsh. It's really simple. It's so effective at stopping bad behaviors, okay? I'll give you an example here that I have talked about many times, because it's a perfect example. And it was a time where I did use it at a very high level, because we were in a very desperate situation, okay? I got a dog in several years ago. The dog's name was Jesse. The owners found this dog living on in the woods along a highway in Nashville. They decided they were going to take Jesse in, rescue him, and save him, and give him a home. The only problem is Jesse had been, I guess, maybe living on small animals to survive or something. I don't know, but he was extremely reactive and had very high prey drive with small animals, especially cats. So these owners that wanted to take him had cats. He had to be able to come into that house and be okay with cats. So I started Jesse's training just like I do with all dogs. I did nothing different. I conditioned Jesse to the e-collar along with the full training program, and Jesse did wonderful. He worked on super low level, single digits on the e-collar. I was using dog tree e-collars back then, 280. And after a few days of conditioning, he was very literate to the e-collar. He was doing very well. Well, I saw 3 cats in my neighbor's yard. I said, okay, it's time to do this. Now, some of you may have a problem with this, but I'm going to give you a perfect example of how we saved this dog. I put Jesse on the 15-foot line. I went outside. He had his e-collar on. Jesse worked in low single digits, okay? I put the e-collar to 127. That was the highest level on the e-collar. We went outside. Jesse's heeling nice next to me. We're walking towards the yard. When Jesse saw the cats, he paused for a second and he bolted. And long before he could hit the end of that 15-foot line, I tapped that e-collar one time on the highest level. It was set. Jesse let out a yelp, did a little flip back, and came flying back to me, okay? He didn't have his head held down. He wasn't freaked out. He wasn't scared. There was no negative side effects because Jesse understood what that weird sensation of the stimulation was. Even though he never felt it at a high level, he understood what it was because I took the time to teach him the language, okay? So what I did when Jesse came back to me is I went right back down to his working level and we started training and rewarding, and he was fine. No, that's it. That's simple. Within the next few days, I took Jesse for a walk at night. I didn't plan on doing this, but we're walking down the street. I see a rabbit on the front lawn of my neighbors. It's dark out. I put the e-collar on a 40, which is still very high for Jesse, but it's not 127. When Jesse sees the rabbit, he goes to take off a little bit. I tapped the e-collar one time on a 40. He let out a little yip, not much, came back to me, down to his working levels. We started training again. Rewarding, working, simple commands, rewarding. No negative feedback whatsoever, okay? Because Jesse understood the language of the e-collar. Jesse made it into that home, no problem, never had an issue with the cats, okay? He didn't avoid the cats because he was scared something bad was going to happen. He just learned he can't chase cats. So there is an art to correction, guys. If there wasn't, then people wouldn't need dog trainers. All right, it's really that simple. So to teach things, we use, a lot of positive reinforcement, a lot of repetitions. To stop things, we do it very quick. You got to stop the bad behaviors. Very, very simple, very important. If we weren't able to do that for Jesse, he wouldn't have had a home. He would have still been living out on the street, or he would have been in a shelter, and he would have been killed eventually. Very simple, very simple. Okay, now there will be people who have a problem with that story. They'll say, oh man, you were harsh on that dog. Yeah, I was harsh on that dog, but the dog understood where it was coming from. Okay, and an example I use a lot of times is, let's say you're a server at a restaurant. When you don't take the time to teach the e-collar properly, it's like if you were a server at a restaurant, someone comes in and starts speaking to you in French. They're trying to place an order in French. You have no idea what they're talking about, and that person placing his order in a foreign language just punches you in the face. You have no freaking idea why he's punching you in the face. You don't get it. You don't understand his language. Same thing with the e-collar and the dogs, guys. You take the time to teach it. Once the dog understands it, you can use it for everything, and it's effortless. It's effortless. It's so easy. And so for the people who are failing to use this tool, the shelters, the humane societies, all these people are anti-tools, man, you're doing a disservice to dogs. And a lot of dogs are dying because of your mentality and your ideology. Plain and simple, all right? Plain and simple. You are doing a disservice to dogs, period. People know I'm a pretty light-handed trainer. I don't use force. I'm a real big motivator. You see every dog I work with looks happy. Okay, even the ones that aren't just full of energy, you never see a dog with me look down when we're done. Ever. You just don't. Because they get it. They get it. The relationship is there. The trust is there. The understanding of what we're doing is there. Okay? So for the people who think I don't use e-collars or I don't correct dogs, period, I hope this helps a little bit to clear things up. All right, folks? It's Friday. Go have a good time. Drink yourself some bourbon. Play with your dogs, especially after drinking bourbon. It's so much more fun. Like, everything they do makes you laugh when you drink enough bourbon. Okay? Happy Friday, people. Peace.